Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the John Mayer Gear Lounge Show. Your host today, I am Justin, along with
My name is Alejandro Rivera.
Alejandro, John Mayer Gear on Instagram. We were literally just talking about before I hit record here that Alejandro is kind of the one who started this whole community and really deep diving into John Mayer Gear on its own, because John Mayer Gear on Instagram, almost 24,000 followers. That's a huge accomplishment, and that's insane to think of. And I think a lot of credit goes to you, Alejandro, for really, bringing this community forward and starting this whole thing, because there was MSM, the forum kind of before that, where a bunch of us were on and kind of talking, but there wasn't a wide audience. We weren't trying to talk to more people and gather much more of a crowd before. And you are the one who started that. So massive, massive shout out and thank you to you for kind of building this whole community a lot wider and bigger than it originally was.
Thanks, Justin. Means a lot. Like you said, it's pretty amazing that somehow we got to gather all this information and knowledge together. There's it. I mean, I try to keep a low profile because I'm not considering myself like a huge expert. I'm more like I think that account is more like a place to gather. Like there's knowledge from so many people, and I think that's cool that it's all in one place, so everyone can reach easily. That was the main goal. Like on my stupid mouth forum, it's cool, but sometimes threads got long and long and long, and
For sure.
if I wanted to go back and check some specific, I easily get lost. So that it's cool that we can all like put some info in that Instagram page and get the conversation going on. So
I
that's it.
agree completely. And the success we had with the very first episode Amal Chandler and I put out was amazing. And thank you to everyone for the support. It was huge and it's a lot of fun. And I'm really looking forward to doing episodes and building the show into, again, another community where people can listen. And I laugh that you say you're not an expert, but we kind of touched on this in episode one. Apart from, Mayor's Inner Circle, I feel like there's a handful of people who are the next best thing for finding information. And you, I believe, are the best person to chat with. And that is why, especially for today's episode, there's no one else that should be doing it but you for sure.
Thanks, man.
Because the 2019 tour, you nailed all the information on and everything. And I know we talked a lot beforehand and while the tour was going on about stuff going on MSM and otherwise, but I think that we're going to have a lot of good information to talk about the 2019 World Tour, and between the two of us, we're going to cover absolutely everything.
Yeah, totally. But again, it was fun that all along the tour, I was getting feedback and people was like, hey, I got this photo. Hey, I found out that this pedal was being used. It was, and I try always to, in the captions, hey, thanks to this guy who helped me. Because it really feels like a group of people working together to gather information. And I'm grateful for that because we were able to solve a lot of mysteries.
And there are a ton of mysteries on this tour. It's
Yeah.
insane. And I don't know why, but for me, the 2019 tour was really, really special. And maybe it's because John he toured on his own tour, like terms. He wasn't doing it on the back of an album and he wasn't trying to sound, like a certain record. He just kind of was like, I want to tour. I'm going to play the songs I want to play. I'm going to sound how I want to sound. And he just went nuts with it. You watch like the playing, I feel like was on another level. I've only seen him once in 2017 and it was a great show, but the shows in 2019 were just on another level. His playing and his tone and the gear that he was swapping out and everything was just another level. And I think that just all really resonated with me, that he's back on top of his game. Because for Mayor, he's always like so much above everyone
Yeah.
else, I personally feel. But 2019 tour was right up with Continuum for the tone and the gear and playing, and just the insanity of it all. And I personally really regret not going and seeing one of his shows in 2019, just because unfortunately Canada kind of got the short end of the stick as it usually does for shows and everything. I forget. I'm not sure if you got the chance to go see him for 2019.
No, no, 2019. I saw him in it's a bit funny. I saw him in Argentina,
Right.
the Search for Everything tour. That was the last show of the tour. It was on my birthday, so I was so hyped.
Right.
You, and it was like the full band acoustic, then the trio, and when the trio ended, it was a storm. I've never in my life seen rain like that day, ever.
It
And the show
was
got
like
canceled.
the show got canceled.
When the trio set ended, they played Bolters, and you could see on the videos the set list, the actual paper flying around. It got, and I spent that whole week in Buenos Aires, and the weather was beautiful, a beautiful sunny day every day. And that day, the biggest storm I've ever seen in my life.
It was like Mother Nature couldn't handle the trio performing.
Absolutely.
They finished, and it was like, that's it. I can't do it.
There's so much groove to handle for Mother Nature.
Yeah, exactly. I
Totally.
think, well, hey, you know what? For us and a lot of people got to see him on 2019, my solace is that, the thing that keeps me, you know, feeling all fuzzy at night is that we got to see the trio at least, which is huge. And, you
I know
know,
exactly.
and Steve Jordan
Yeah.
doesn't want to tour really anymore. I remember he was saying that. So, who knows when we're going to get to see the trio again. So, hey, we got to see that. And you know what?
Yeah.
After COVID's over, I'm sure John's going to tour again, hopefully. And
I, I, Obviously when that happened, I was pissed off, but then I was thinking, at least I got to see the trio. There's a lot of people who didn't catch that, so
yeah.
at least I got that. But
And
you were saying something really important about the 2019 tour, and I love that you mentioned is that he wasn't backing a record. That's a huge deal of that tour. He was like, I want to get out and play. That's what I do. That's what he's best at. Actually, he's a
exactly.
great performer. He's a really great performer. So he was going for it.
He was totally, the stage was, designed how he wanted. And that's, I think, maybe why, like I said, it resonated so much with me was that this is John wanting to get out and play and be with all of his fans and all the people that support him. And he's going to tour and do the show on his own terms. If he wants to exclude songs, he's going to exclude songs. If he wanted to play Continuum front to back, which he did, he was able to do that with, the 2017 World Tour and tours before them backing an album. He didn't have that luxury of really manipulating the set list and attempting new gear kind of because he needs to stay true to what he did in that album sounding like that because that's what the people going to these shows expected and wanted.
Absolutely. And even the no he didn't have an opening act, and that's another huge decision tour wise because it means a lot of things like in the pre-production to say I know I want the whole show will be on my own. So that's another huge thing for that tour. The show was like 2.5 hours or at least 2 hours.
And that's long for a lot of modern day performers. That's a long
Yeah,
show. A lot of acts now will go like an hour, 20 minutes, and then do a 10-minute encore. They won't even do two
exactly.
hours. And you're kind of
Yeah.
like, really?
Yeah, he I think was a nice tour for him to do. Like I want to go out and play, and that's the goal.
And I agree. And that's why I think for years to come, the 2019 tour will be a tour that we all kind of look back on and really think about fondly as one of probably the best tours John's ever done and
The
some of the
one
best
thing
playing.
that's the one thing that I still miss is the like a proof footage recording of the shows.
Yeah.
Like when I got into Mayor, it was like '09, and there was already Where the Light Is, Any Given Thursday. There was a lot of properly recorded shows. So I was amazed. I think, oh, he's gonna keep releasing live shows all the time. That's his thing, and that kind of stuff. So I still miss a bit, but maybe he will release something. I don't know.
I maybe naively, I'm still hoping that come this fall, maybe they're gonna be like a year later, they're gonna have like one of the later shows that they actually like kind of recorded or something. Then that's always been the thing for Mayor with me as well, is that live is just a different animal as well compared to the studio. He makes
Yeah.
a studio record for everyone and something that people can listen to who maybe not aren't like guitar people so much. But then you listen to the live and he can tweak the songs how he wants. He extends the solos and everything and just lifts everything up and it's massive and you can't really compare the live record or like the live performance to the actual record. It's two different things and they're just insane. And I almost can't listen to Helpless anymore because there were so many amazing performances from the 2019 World Tour where, you know, he's doing like the tapping thing or the outro solo is just like massive and in your face. And same thing with, I guess, I Just Feel Like. I know someone posted in the John Mayer Gear Lounge group on Facebook. Join now. Um, I guess I Just Feel Like this outro performance he did. Oh, that was Gabe from the
That was
rehearsal
from the
show.
rehearsals.
And the ending was so upbeat, and he was just like singing and playing so passionately. And the song, just for me, was so much more uplifted because it's kind of a sad song. And near the end, it picks up a little bit and gets a bit more upbeat and positive. But nothing like that rehearsal performance, even where it just was this massive song, and it was the beat was going, and John was just so into it. And I wish that I wish a lot of the live aspects transferred into the studio record.
I mean, it's there are so many few artists that you could say I love the live version of the song better than the studio version. There's so few artists
Yeah,
that you could say that, because that's a feat. That's a huge feat to being such a good performer, to being able to pull a show so well that, I mean, like slow dancing is my top one example for that. Like the intro from the Where the Light Is show, or there's amazing performances from the 2013 tour. I mean, I wish he would release more live material, but well, maybe
hopefully.
maybe later.
Hopefully. Maybe, who knows? Maybe 2021, John will be like, touring all of us took for granted, and I want to get back out there and tour the world again. I can only hope that something like that happens, but we'll see. So
Yeah,
should we get right into the 2019 tour
let's
boards and break them
let's
down?
kick let's kick into this.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen here. Okay, that should be perfect. So this, I believe, is Australia. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the Melbourne, Sydney. I did a post on that show. Let me check real quick. It was
Mm,
it was the show he did the live stream from behind the stage.
Yeah, some of them I wrote on the notes for this episode, the touch points. I wrote what show they were, but I'm pretty sure I checked
Melbourne.
earlier. Yeah, okay, so Australia. When we were looking over the pictures that we're going to talk about, I couldn't really find a good picture of the side of this early on, but I know that right here, I hope you guys can see my mouse. That's a full tone Clydewall, right?
Right.
There?
Yeah. That's a in fact, if you look closely, you can see the full tone, like the stripe.
Yeah, you can see that right there. I'll throw up on
That's
the
the full
screen
tone.
too in post-production. I'll throw up an actual picture of what that wall looks like. But
Yeah,
so that's that. So one thing he definitely was doing was testing out new wall pedals because he'd used
totally.
the Bradshaw custom audio electronics one for a while, or at least
And
for
it's a
2017.
fantastic wall. I'm glad I bought it way before I knew he was using it. and it's really roadworthy. That's the best word to talk about that wall. It's heavy. It's quite heavy for being a pedal, but I mean, you're stepping on it. It needs to be heavy.
Exactly. It needs to
So
be able to take that abuse and everything.
yeah,
It sounds incredible.
it's so cool. But that Fulton, he's been using Fulton products for a long time. So I believe there's this, like in '06 he had that, maybe not that exact unit, but he had a Fulton wah back then.
Right, and he used like their Octafuzz, I think, on the Try Live album for the
Yeah, and
Hendrix
the
Wait Till
69
Tomorrow.
fuse too. The blue one, the, how is it called? The full drive.
Yeah, yeah, the full drive MOSFET too. That one as
That
well
one.
he used a
Yeah, he's
lot.
been using some Fulton products. But well, we'll talk. We'll keep digging into this. Then there's the exotic wah too.
And that is personally for me the best wall pedal I've ever played. It's amazing.
It's it's great.
I'm very
It's
fond of that pedal now, a lot.
like the knobs, the tweakability is it's huge. It's like the range of the wah sounds
Yeah.
that you can get. It's amazing.
And how it's, what is it like? It's two-thirds the size of a normal wah pedal, something around that.
Yes, it's a
It's
bit
it's,
it's
it's a
smaller
bit smaller.
and lighter. And
Yeah,
that's a huge deal if you're traveling.
exactly. Saves on gas-free airplane and everything. Any weight you can
Totally.
save. So this board is really interesting because as near the very beginning of the tour, he was really experimenting with a lot of gear. And one thing that I was wanting to debate was the OC3, you can see on my mouse, is right here, right after
Yeah.
the wall. Now, was
Yeah.
that maybe in the Qtron loop, or was he running the OC3 before the drives? Because for the most part, I believe this board ran like a standard pedal board would, from right to left, top, middle, back.
It's it's like there we have to, again, like a lot of this stuff we have to guess
Speculate,
for
yeah. We're
yeah,
totally speculating for, I'd say,
absolutely.
half of the stuff. Well, actually, a lot of the stuff we're pretty certain on, but
But my guess on this OC3 is that is right before the drives.
I'd be willing
And
to bet the same thing.
yeah, if I had to take a guess on that, I would say it's right before the drives, before the descent. But
Yeah, and let's talk about that. The Zen Drive 2, he had in the rehearsals as well, and he decided to black it out. That's something on the guide I made for the Facebook group that I actually missed, was that he blacked out the Zen Drive because it was so.
if you, to be honest, if you didn't mention that like a couple days ago, I missed that, and I've done like 3 or 4 posts about that tour, and I've missed that every single time.
Well, I think we were at the very beginning, we were pretty unaware and blind to the fact that he was blacking out pedals. We were all kind of, we weren't
Yeah,
really like sure what was going on, but afterwards, when we were really certain that that's exactly what was going on, the Zen Drive was very easy to miss because he swapped it out and started really experimenting with drive pedals from a very early point. Case in point being this show here. This is like the third show of the tour, I believe. And he's got a blacked out Zen Drive, which I don't know why he was blacking out pedals. It makes no sense to me. If I am on stage, if that was me on stage right now holding that Mesa Gold and that pedal board, I'm not going to sound like John through it. My tone is going to sound the same through the amps and everything, but it's not going to be me playing. And he's so much better than any of us anyway. So why is he that worried about it? Unless like it's
that
mods and he wants it hidden.
that's I mean, I believe that's where the whole blacking out pedal is going for. Like that's not a stock Zen drive, that's not a stock um, Providence Delay, any. That's what I have to believe, but we'll keep on talking on this.
Yeah.
For this, for this is pedalboard, the clone is like a regular silver clone.
Yeah,
So
that's the same silver non-horsey clon he's used.
yeah,
And
that's like the
interestingly, he's doing the TS10 before the clon.
yeah. I recently tried that. I was like a dead on cloning to TS guy. That was I
You,
once I
you,
tried
you
this.
couldn't go any other way. It was,
No,
yeah.
and I was so bored. Like I swapped those, and it works really nice. Maybe I swapped those because I did the post on that on the Japan show where he played Believed, and he was like TS into clone.
Yeah.
Great tone. Like there's is not the same, but it works in a different good way.
Exactly. It's just another flavor of
Yeah.
changing the mid-range tonality of his tone and his lead sound.
The clone, I mean, when I've read interviews from Bill Finnegan and he says like he wanted to do a transparent overdrive. To me, the clone is everything but transparent.
I know. I hate that word when they're like, it's a transparent
I,
overdrive or it's a clean boost. I'm like, it's
it's
not.
it's not. I don't know why he says that. I love the clone. It's like a really dead on beautiful overdrive, but I
Yeah.
don't get why he claims or says that it's transparent. It's not. It's there's a lot of meats on the pedal, and they're beautiful meats.
Yeah, for sure. I think maybe it also had to do with the fact that he had four gain stages early on because you have the Zen Drive 2, which is a Dumble inspired pedal. You got the TS10, the Klon, and then here you have this smoky signal tubeless.
Yeah, that's another. That's a, I wish I would knew more, and I think a lot about that pedal. I wish I knew more because the story is even a bit sad because the way that the designer passed away is really sad. So there's like a few units, and this is like out of respect. No one has tried to copy or clone that pedal, and I think that's cool too. I
I think it's
stopped looking for
insane.
clones. I stopped
Yeah.
looking for schematics or clones. I think that it's like respecting that he did that and it was his work and he's no longer around, so we gotta respect that.
I totally agree. And I think that's, the way when anyone passes away, unfortunately, things just skyrocket in price. And I had
Yeah.
no idea about that pedal actually until John brought it on his tour last year.
In
They
fact, there's
are
a
insanely expensive.
he's been I there's some pics Bob Bradshaw shared like a lot of time ago from the Continuum tour, and he had like in one of the drawers he had the smoky signal back then, and I think back then I forgot his name, the designer. He was alive still.
Right. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on it, but from what I've heard, they're phenomenal pedals and they're incredible sounding. So John, for
What
a while, was using one of these, last in the
you
chain.
know, I know you'll talk about rehearsals in another episode, but just real quick, there's this video where he's playing Tosinabasi guitar. So he's playing the I guess I just feel like solo, and he's like, he turns on a pedal with his hand. I My guess is that he was turning on that pedal, the smoky signal, for that solo on that
For,
video.
for that tone.
Yeah,
After we're done filming, can you track down that video for me and link me to
totally,
it? Because what
totally,
I'll what
totally.
I'll do is right now, for the viewers, you guys, I'm going to cut that in. And there's this guy too, which is stupid. It purrs. so they can hear what we were just talking about?
That's my guess. Obviously, we don't know because it's so obvious that he's instructed the guy to not film at the pedalboard. It's funny.
Yeah, no shots of the pedal board. You can look, but
Yeah,
yeah, no pictures. Can't
it's
touch.
so funny.
It's like being
But
on the
my guess is that for that Asia shows, he was using that pedal for the I guess I just feel like solo.
because it's very unique.
Yeah, it's a different tone from the clone. It is not a tube screamer sound for that solo. That's one of the most asked questions I get all the time on the John Mayer Gear Instagram page. Hey, what's he using for the I guess
I
I just
I
feel like
also thought
solo.
it might be the Zen Drive as well, because it's kind of that
Yeah,
like
that could be too.
higher
That could be.
gain, dumbly tone. Because it's definitely not a TS or a clon, and like unless it's a weird combination of gain stacking. But I'm with you on that. I definitely think it's the Smoky or the Zen Drive. I just like 2 days ago, I just bought a Zen Drive too. That's on the way. So
Cool.
when I get it, I want to try and see if I can get anywhere close to the. I guess I just feel like sounds, and maybe that'll help solve some of the mystery.
That
If it
will
can,
help a lot.
if you can gain it properly, maybe like with the TS10, like pushing the TS10, or I don't know. We'll test it out. But anyway, this show I think was also really unique, and it was probably the first, or in the very early shows, the Providence Delay 80s as well was
Oh,
blacked out, so modified. Right away, that's another big kind of like, okay,
and
that's
that's
interesting.
and that's and he used that delay a lot for
Yeah,
that for the whole year for the whole tour. It was like his main delay, you could say.
yeah, and I think it's
Like
weird because it's based on the Cornish TES, and he has a bunch of those. So maybe he just felt like, he just felt like not having a big TES on his board in the smaller Providence. But I got the custom shop version, the Delay 82, I believe it's called. I got one of those, which is the earlier hand built model, and it's an amazing delay. The way the repeats degrade is very,
oh,
very unique. And
we were,
it's,
we were talking with Alex on the John Mayer Gear Lounge page. Join, please. And we were
going,
talking about the uniqueness of the Cornish delay and how the main thing. I mean, it has a nice tone, it has a nice delay feel, but the main thing is how the repeats sit behind the actual dry tone. They don't
yes.
overcome the signal. Do you feel that way with the Providence?
I do and here's the hard thing. I think I talked about it in the first episode, but I haven't posted any clips because I'm waiting for a clean app because I'm not running it, my tones right now through anything that's really in the Mayor vein yet. I don't know why I haven't put more effort on getting a new amp or anything, but I find that like when you do, even for the amp, the Marshall Jubilee, I have it set super clean. When I'm running my gear through that, I try and do like something like the Where the Light Is Belief intro, which was a
Yeah.
Cornish TS, and the Providence Delay, the 80s one, it sits just like that in the mix where it's behind your tone and your lead sound is not fighting the delay for it to be front and center. And I have it set for like two repeats, like how he did on Where the Light Is, and it's the same thing where it's in the mix. It doesn't really degrade, but it's behind your tone.
Yeah, that's the word. It's like when you're in mixing audio, like you're trying to like create layers. Like we're trying to create layers between instruments, and the delay you want them to sit behind what you're actually putting in front. It's like a weird thing to achieve, but those delays that create that are really special because you can always engage them and like I love TC Electronics, but most of those delays that I've tried, like they step right in front of my tone. But that's just my experience. Like
Right.
that's what comes to mind because I've tried a lot of TC pedals, and I think they're great. But this creates something else, and I think that's really cool.
I'm totally with you on that. So I think maybe I'm going to go to the next picture. This one here. All right, so this one here is another early on show, either like Oceanic, Australia, New Zealand. Well, not New
Like New
Zealand, but
Zealand. I
I
think
think
it's
New
maybe.
Zealand was New. Feel like New Zealand was very first when I was actually using the John Mayer Gear page on Instagram. Give it a follow. I was using that to kind of document when I believe New Zealand was the very first shows he did, like Auckland. So this might be getting onto like Singapore or
Oh yes.
past Australia, maybe. But anyways, the dates aren't really important. We're going chronologically here through the tour. So as the pictures move on, this is following the tour along, just using whatever main changes there are and better angles we got. So right away on here, he's changed to the exotic wah. The full tone wah maybe lasted a show or two, I think.
Yeah, probably. No, not very long, but
Like
it
we
got
said,
swapped.
the exotic wah is amazing. So why not, right? So
And he
everything's
was, yeah, he used that exotic wa with Dead and Company. That's what, like, the
yeah.
first time I saw him with the exotic wa.
And I think once he tried that, he was like, okay, I'm sold, and everything else kind of got switched over, or however that kind of worked. But the point being, once he tried the exotic wah, been his wah for even
Yeah.
on the very end, Dead and Company shows right up until Christmas, New Year's in 2019, he was using the exotic wah. So it's
I
safe to
mean,
assume that's his favorite wah right now.
I do not sell exotic products, but I love them to death. If in fact I once in my personal Instagram page, I won a little contest with them, and they sent me a shirt, and I love them. The AP Booster, I love everything they do.
They
And the
make great
exotic one,
products.
yeah, they're amazing. And the exotic one, like we were talking a few minutes ago, you can dial anything. It's amazing. Like you go all the way
Yeah.
up with the treble, and it doesn't get ice peaky. Like it just
No.
gets wild. It's so fun. It's like a fantastic one.
It's amazing. And I'd always wanted to try the exotic wah out. And the moment John put it on his board, I'm pretty sure it was this show, I instantly ordered one because I was really wanting to try it out. But I really love, Good Love is on the Way, the wah tones, and when he does the belief solos with the wah. And I wanted to try and duplicate that. And it was just a great excuse to test with the exotic wah. And I don't think I'll ever go back for a long time on a wah
It's
pedal.
Yeah, it's like if you're trying to nail a specific watt tone, you can actually tweak that sound until you get something that it's in your head.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
So he
it's very
does.
nice. Mellow.
So this show, things kind of stayed more or less the same, except for the exotic wah, I believe. You have the OC3 just going over Zen blacked out Zen Drive. You can see it a little bit better. The four knobs there. TS into Klon into Smoky. Qtron Plus. Is this the slate here? I forget if the slate has three knobs or.
The slate has three knobs. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, so that's got to be a slate set
I
for Love on the
the,
Weekend.
I think that's funny because he could the same way. You remember he had the three adrenaline pedals at the same
Yeah,
time. And the guy, Roger Lynn, said like he could use just the Adrenaline 3. He could and use MIDI
just with
switching.
with the MIDI and just have it set. But he was just like, no, I got all three, so why not?
Exactly.
But
So so
I
he
th-
feels like I gotta use the exact same thing I used. He's
I
that
think it
kind
was
of
a
guy.
safety thing too because I know the adrenaline has broken on him before
Oh
in a
yes.
show, and from what I've heard, don't quote me on this, anyone, but from what I remember reading or hearing about, there might be some unreliability issues with the adrenaline. And so maybe for him
Yeah.
too, it's kind of like a fail safe where if one of them goes wrong, I still can do three songs or two other songs if I wanted to, or have the
That's
option.
true. Yeah, that's a good point. In fact,
This,
well, I've heard too that there's Well, let's not talk about that in
Yeah.
on this episode.
Yeah, we'll save some. We got to save some stuff for future
Yeah,
episodes.
yeah.
This
Yeah,
here,
that's
I think, was he using the Mr. Motto early on? It's different
he
knobs.
that's the well, he had it on rehearsals. That's 100% sure by now.
And he had it with the
Um,
Dead and Company as well.
yeah, yeah, I think he did. I think he did. But
And if you
it,
think about it,
that
it sits beside the Flint, and it's just another trem and reverb.
exactly. That's what I was going for.
And I think
So
that's where a lot of our. Sorry, go ahead.
no. I think we were just about to say the same thing. Like he was like having a different flavor for the same tremolo reverb thing.
And that's where a lot of our speculation is coming from too, based on the fact that we're really looking at the signal chain, what we know has been swapped in and out. We'll talk about chorus later on, but what's been swapped in and out, and that's kind of how we're debating what, is going where. So we're going to say from the beginning of the show pretty much that he had the Mr. Motto on, a blacked out version with different knobs, probably modified a good amount.
Yeah, I that again that the blackout thing. I my personal that's just one man's opinion. Maybe they got to be some, there's I mean there's no reason to change the whole look of them without actually getting into the circuit. That's just me. But
Exactly, because if he wanted just to hide what pedals he was using, you'd think he'd just black out the whole board, or
exactly.
or he'd use like a Bradshaw style rig and have them in a rack where you can't see
Yes,
them.
totally. If he wanted to hide that, that's an option for him. He would like black out the whole thing. He can buy 5 pedals of each one if he wants.
Yeah,
That's not
so
a problem for him.
I agree, I totally agree with you. They had to be modded. Josh Scott from JHS probably has his hand in some of it. I don't know, but it's probably with like the approval of maybe the people who built them or something. I don't know because it's kind of. I know Josh in one of his YouTube episodes said that he'd never want to modify friends who own pedal companies. He was kind of against that, and he didn't want to do it. That's why he stopped. When people asked him like modify like Keeley modded Boss BD2, and they wanted him to tweak it further. He's like, no, I'm not going to do that. It's a friend of mine modded it, and I'm not going to start then tweaking and selling his circuit as my own or something. So I don't know. That's the biggest mystery of this whole tour, for sure.
Totally. That will keep haunting us for the years.
I'm just happy we figured out as much as we have, to be honest.
Yeah. And I
So
think
moving
it's
on.
funny. I think it's funny
Yeah.
because I know he knows that there's a group of people like really digging into his gear and try to find out everything. And I know he makes it a bit hard for us, but somehow we still manage to know a lot of stuff.
We do, and I think that he also likes making it a bit more of a game for us as well.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
He laughs and like you can tell like when he even plays, he gets like a smirk in his face, and he's like, "Oh, like the 10% of my fan base that are the guitar people, they're gonna lose their shit over this, like what I just
Totally,
played and stuff, and they're gonna be trying
totally.
to do that." So we move on. We got the Flint staple for John for a long, long time. I don't really believe he uses the reverb on it. It's mainly the trem, right?
Yeah, it's mainly the trend, but he is not like his main river always is from the amp section, always.
Or
But
those
I
Bricasti.
yeah, oh, that's I hope where I work in a recording studio. We got one of those. It's beyond anything I've ever heard.
Oh man,
It's amazing.
I don't doubt it.
No, I can't even begin to explain how deep and how lush is it. But yeah, it's a great river. But I think that's so. I know, and I did like a post on that. There was this slow dancing solo, really mellow, really paced out. He was like just touching with his fingers, and he activated both trem and reverb. So it's like another ambience for him, like another texture.
Right. It's
But
just
yeah,
the options there.
Exactly, but his main reverb is it's the amps or the amp section, the loops or whatever.
Right, and I believe you and I were both talking to a member of the group on Facebook who was asking about the Flint position, and you and I were both saying that it depends on if you got amp reverb and a main or like a main reverb unit like a Big Sky or whatever that's doing your main reverb, then put the Flint before the delay. But
Totally.
if the Flint's on your main reverb, you got to put it after because John's main reverb sits behind delay. That's very
Exactly.
important.
Exactly. That's the best way to go if you're setting your flint. Like depends on if you're using another reverb or not.
Right. And speaking of delay, we got a blacked out again, the blacked out Providence Delay 80s. But like we kind of mentioned before, the Delay 80s, there's actually three of them. They started off with a hand-built version. I forget what that was called. And then they did the Delay 82, I believe, which is the custom shop version that I own. And then they did produced the purple one, the Delay 80s. This could be any one of them,
Yeah,
honestly.
totally.
But they're all the same circuit, hand built, but just different versions of them.
Probably. Well, we don't know. He might have all of them.
At this
He,
point, like we
he,
said, if he's tweaking it, it doesn't really matter that much
yeah,
anyway.
exactly. Totally.
So then up here, I believe behind his knee here, his thigh, you'll have the Aquapus. That for sure is a Tonal Recall Red Knob mod. Chase
Yeah,
Bliss, right?
yeah, that's it.
And we
I have.
know because Joel clarified that.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
I've messaged him a couple times, and he's like, yeah, like a really laid back, nice guy.
Builds some of the best
He's a
pedals on the
genius,
market too.
and
Oh,
and he's a genius too.
yeah, he's insane. I gotta start getting some Chase Bliss products in my life. Joel, if you're watching, hit us up. Hit Alejandro and I up.
Totally.
But we know that's a Red Knob mod too because I know Joel confirmed that there was a Warped Final Hi-Fi, which is right here, and then he confirmed there was a Tonal Recall Red Knob mod.
Yeah, and the
So they're
and
both blacked out.
exactly. And we'll see a shot later. And there's like the DIP switches behind the pedal. Like there's they are blackout too. It's I don't know why again. Maybe modded, maybe not, maybe whatever reason it is, but they're
I'll throw
blackout.
that picture up again right now of the switches on the back for people to
No,
see how it was black on the back end. But too, there was a picture where you could actually zoom in. It was clear enough where you could zoom in, and if you take a Tonal Recall Red Knob mod, the words underneath the switches and the knobs versus what the black one was on John's board, they were identical. You could make it out
yeah,
that where it said like tone repeats or whatever it says on that pedal, they were identical. And
yeah,
that was
they
like
match perfect.
that was the confirmation there. It was like, okay, that's without a doubt, that's a Chase Bliss Tonal Recall.
Totally. Well, and he also had that on rehearsals.
But that was unmodified. That was just straight
Yeah,
up.
that was a stock pedal as far as we know.
As far as we'll ever know, probably, unless someone spills the
Yeah,
beans. If you want to remain anonymous and spill the beans on John's board, hit us up. We won't let anyone know who you are. The
totally.
other interesting delay that he kind of tried out early on was the T-Rex. I have it written here. Replay, the T-Rex replay.
Yeah, again, someone found like I was like Googling the delay box for knobs blue. Like those are my Google searches. And someone find out that that was the replay box. And so I'm glad again that someone helped me out on there.
I had no idea that pedal existed either, so.
No idea. I had no idea at all.
And then, of course, you have the Warp Vinyl for chorus. I have no idea what this is here.
The,
Is that the
I
would
think
he be
that's
running two choruses? Is that the new neighbor?
so it's the replay box. Then there's that's another Chase Bliss audio.
Yeah, right here is the warped vinyl.
Exactly.
And
And
then sorry, I'm
then
talking about the one after it. Is that the new
oh yeah,
neighbor?
I think that's the inspired chorus.
He was running early on. He was running two choruses and maybe
Exactly.
testing different
Oh,
flavors.
we'll talk later about the chorus, the CE2. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
The
yeah. I
C2
think
that he
that's
used in the rehearsals.
yeah. That, but see, like I think why he's using two different choruses, I don't know, but I'm totally. That's my guess again. That's the new neighbor inspired chorus.
Yeah, again, the knobs match up, and which I found is
Perfect.
very interesting that John apparently likes to run chorus after delay.
Yeah, that's weird for me too. Like, okay, maybe. Oh, I was thinking about this morning. Like, there's no rotary speaker simulation on his board, on this board, on
Early
this.
on, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe like it was set for a fast chorus, like a fake Leslie sound. Maybe
Yeah,
I don't know.
who knows? It's very possible.
So, cause that's what's missing from that board. He's been a user for Leslie sounds for a long time, and there's no like Leslie pedal on his board on this board. So maybe
Yeah,
that could be it.
that actually makes a lot of sense. But I guess we'd have to go back and look at the set list too for these shows and think like, I'm not even sure if he ever played Love as a Verb on the 2019 World Tour because that's the main Leslie in a studio song that he's used.
Yeah,
But I know he likes to use the Leslie for a lot of solos. He'll throw it on
it's
and just
fantastic.
it's another level.
The in fact I love my chorus. I have the one I got is set to a fast Leslie sound, and I think that's really inspiring to try different things soloing. Sometimes
Yeah,
like the slow chorusing thing maybe depends on the music, but for the general soloing, if I turn that fake Leslie, that gets me going.
I need to try Leslie. I've never tried a rotary speaker simulator before. I've been really tempted by the new Nano vents. I think is what they call the
Oh,
Neo instruments.
those look great. Those look
They're
so great.
expensive, but they look amazing.
Yeah,
I know Mick Taylor on that pedal show always loves the standard vent or the micro vent, I think it's called. Because there's like the really
yeah,
big one, then the micro, and then the nano's the new one, which
yeah,
I'm surprised. Who knows? Maybe next tour we'll see John maybe using one of those because I think those are incredible Leslie simulators.
yeah, yeah. Great pedal.
Okay, so then lastly, the JHS Kirkland Boys
The
Costco brand
Kirkland pedal.
boost, which we know is I'm not sure if I was talking with you about it, but Josh, when everyone was asking what it was, he said that it's two of his prestige. And
Yeah, that's
I thought when he said that he was more meaning that like I built two prestige clean boosts for John in this pedal. But then I forgot that maybe it was after that even he released the prestige clean boost, or if it was released beforehand. So that leaves me to think that it's just two prestige boosts from JHS in a different enclosure with a Kirkland branding for John as a joke, and it's two buffers and clean boosts in one.
the buffer thing. That's also important because that's the final pedal before the amp. So I bet there's some serious buffering in there to send the signal all the way back to the amps because there's nothing else. So yeah, it's pretty much like two prestige circuits. He has the ability to choose which one or both can be used at the same time. Like like you said, like there's two units on a single box. That's pretty much. A few weeks ago, I posted about the Search for Everything tour, and I wrote like he had a katana slash a Kirkland boost, and Josh commented on the post, "Who told you that the Kirkland is a katana? That's correct. Like fix this, please." And no, what I meant is that he was
Using
alternating between
both,
both.
yeah.
We later DM'd and it was fine, but I had a laugh with that.
Josh, come on the show.
Yeah, yeah, he's amazing. I tried to catch every single episode of his JHS show.
It's
Amazing.
amazing. I love it. Okay, let's bring up this guy here next. This picture. Okay, this is just another shot of the board. I don't think anything's changed. You just can see the octopus is sitting back there. I
What
just
you
thought
could,
this would be a cool one to talk about, but or just to like
yeah,
quickly look at because it's a different angle of the
and, and
board as
and
a whole.
and with that shot, I totally confirmed that he was using the Blackstone pedal. You
Oh, that's
could
where we haven't
totally,
talked about that yet.
yeah, exactly. So there's this looper, this Killy looper next to the smoky signal, and that's the chorus drive looper.
Really?
The
Okay.
left, the far left bottom row.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, yeah. That tiny Killy looper. So what from my research, what I understand is that he has the Blackstone and the chorus on that looper.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So that's what
Okay.
he's. I don't know if he always has the Blackstone on, or
Yeah.
he can like engage that on and off. But that's the loop for those two pedals.
That's right. That's right. That makes a lot of sense. And that's so that was another like kind of mystery about it all, where you were kind of sitting there and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
luckily we have been able to like bits of information, and we got to see the tags from the loopers, and mix and match until we found a, like a full signal chain.
I want to tell you solve the whole mystery of it all.
Yeah.
Now
So
this,
that's Madison Square Garden, right?
this is the North American leg of the tour. This is where a lot of changes happened.
Yeah, it's a different layout for several things.
You got the Black Clon. This is the when the Black Clon appeared, and everyone was
Totally.
like, "Is
Freaking
that a
out.
Seritone Centera? And what the hell is going on?" And then you realize you're like,
Yeah.
then Josh pipes
I,
in. He's like, "It's not." I never believed it was a Centura either, to be honest. I'm like, the guy
I,
owns probably 4 or 5 Clons at least.
it's funny because there was like a lot of comments on my post. Hey, is that a Seritone? Is that a Seritone? And I had no idea.
But you can either
Luckily,
confirm or deny. You're like, I highly
yeah,
doubt it, but you can never be 100% certain.
I could not be sure of either. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I had no idea. So I got in touch with Seritone. I love them to death too. In fact, I way before the Instagram page, I got the Centura. I have serial number 14, like one of the very first ones. I'm a Centura user for the longest time.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with them. And they told me, no, we at least we haven't talked with John at all, but we can. It was also their son. We can either confirm or deny that it's a series, and we don't know. Luckily, Josh was kindly enough to say, "Hey, it's not." But that's all I can say.
And that was kind of the first clue too that he has his hand in some of this that's going on. So
Totally.
when Josh confirmed it, you're like, okay, he was at the multiple rehearsal shows, built in that tank unit that we kind of talked about, which we still have no idea what it was at all. Just all you know
Yeah,
is there
no
was a
idea.
JHS logo on that thing, and it was covered by a blanket, but just enough to give you a taste that it's something Josh made for him. And then he now
Totally.
knows what this black clay, he knows what it is. So you'd be willing to bet that he modified it for John, for sure.
Yeah, probably that's. I mean, it wouldn't be crazy for him to do that. Like it's you can tell that John totally trusts Josh for his rig. So
Right.
hey, Yeah, I would like this clone to be a little bit more of this or more of that, and he could totally nail that.
100%. And then on this board, he then swapped the TS10. It went back to traditional order.
Traditional cloning to TS.
Yeah, no Zen drive. And then the Smoky was left for the Mesa Flux 5, which I had never would have guessed John would have used ever. Because
Yeah.
it was an interesting thing, but it sounds great when he plays like Belief or Slow Dancing, he gains stages that just next level for the
Yeah, so like full on gain, a lot of sustain overtones, like he's going to for max level on there. I think he used Mesa Boogie pedals on some Dead and Company shows because
okay.
Bob Weir was using a few of them.
Right. That's right. I remember that now.
So maybe I think it's just I guess Bob like say to him like check this out, and he got to
Yeah.
try some Mesa pedals. And the OC3 got swapped too. It's now probably just after the drives. The
Exactly.
OC3.
Now you swap the OC3 back to again, that's more traditional for his board as well, is that the OC
Yeah,
sits after
totally.
drives.
Yeah, totally. That's the way he used to set that.
And then the Qtron got a second katana, or like a katana in the loop. There's two. There's one behind his leg here with the
Yeah,
tuner, and then now the Qtron has a katana in the loop.
on the loop. Yeah, that's right.
Because you can see the chords right here even are going down into the Qtron. Everything else remains the same, I believe. Well,
Oh, the
for
Providence.
the chrono delay, their new version of the delay 80s, kind of with like the screen on it and the multiple presets, that gets added and in place of the T-Rex replica.
Yeah, I wonder if you use the tap tempo on the replica on the replay box.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the same way he uses the tap tempo on the chrono delay. Maybe.
Then that's the new neighbor again, the Inspire chorus
Yeah,
there.
and there's a Kili looper.
Yeah, that's the chorus looper, I bet, right? Or
It has to. I would think so. I would that I don't know what it is, but it makes sense that that is the chorus looper.
so so that's our first look at kind of North America. And that's a big change for
Yeah,
that leg of the tour.
he swapped a lot of things just from the. It was like April the Asia tour, and North America was like July. No, I don't know. Like on those days, he swapped the whole thing around.
Right. And this one again is show or two later. It's another great look at the board with a bit of color in it. Obviously, the octopus is there. The psych loop, which maybe that had something to do with Heartbreak Warfare. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. And it's weird because it seems that the cables are going way into the back of the board or far away from the board at least.
So
So
maybe there
whatever.
was an adrenaline in a rack somewhere that you could never see, and it
Yeah,
just was out of sight, out of mind, and he just hit that, and it went on. I don't know. We'll never
yeah,
really know. But
but it looks like there's something way back or
yeah, you can
something
see,
far
but
away.
one of them's definitely an input cable, but then the other one is for sure a yeah, it's going way out. So, and I know a lot of people were talking, probably commenting on your page, where they were like, "Oh, is he just using a different delay for that song?" And Heartbreak Warfare is so specific. I don't really think you could almost defer that effect.
You're right. In fact, I think that have you seen videos from that song on the 2019 tour?
Yeah,
It sounds not wrong, but sounds different.
it does sound, and that's the thing that like my brain tells me no, he wrote that song 10 years ago. He's not going to defer from that effect. He's toured with it up until this point. Why wouldn't he? But then, yeah, you listen to
Exactly.
him. Part of me almost wonders if it's the Charvel with humbuckers instead of
Oh
single
yeah,
coils and the Floyd
totally.
Rose. A part of me was maybe like, maybe it's that having a different effect on the adrenaline. Maybe it's finicky enough. I don't know, but it's a mystery for sure how he performed that.
And he was like for a different like approach to the song. Like he began the song with huge chords and like a huge approach from the music standpoint
Oh,
instead of the
the whole structure of the song completely changed.
totally. He went for a different thing to it.
The last thing I wanted to touch on for this one was the slide rig gets added, the
Oh,
compressor.
that's already there. Yeah.
And that will you'll see it, but that one goes on and off. He was kind of like, oh, I want it, I don't, I want it, I don't. And I don't
Yeah,
think it's necessary for him at all. It was just kind of like, oh, try adding compressor. Because he used the
exactly.
pulp and peel during the rehearsals from
Yeah.
JHS.
Yeah, he had
But
that one and suddenly luckily there's when these shots first came out like the late knob layout from Origin Effects is quite easy to identify. So we got to say at least it's one of those pedals. It was easy for us to know that he had something from Origin Effects.
yeah, because then right on this picture again, going a show or a couple over, it's gone.
It's gone again.
And this shot right here, like how incredible is that picture?
Yeah,
I think it's my favorite picture of any tour that's ever been taken of him on stage. It's
totally.
incredible. And it was enough for us to make it the new main picture. But again, it's just another look at the rig. The only change in this one was that, again, proving the point that the compressor, the Cali 76, gets taken on and off quite often. It was like, if he wanted it, he had room.
He was totally trying stuff, and now Pino has been user of Origin FX pedals for since I know like the Search for Everything tour. He was already using the Cali 76. Like it's perfect for bass guitar. So maybe one day he was like, hey, try this.
Yeah, I think maybe he just wanted to, like you say, try it out. And he doesn't have a massive use for compressor, but it's John. He can do whatever the heck he wants, right?
And that's the thing with John. I mean, I get asked, does he have that pedal or this pedal? And my answer is like, I bet he has every pedal. He must have every pedal in the world.
And it's funny, I'm surprised that more companies don't. Well, maybe it's they don't like he doesn't want them promoting because I think was that you who posted that I'm blanking. What's the company? Donner Prince, the guy who makes the Boonar, the kind of Echo Rec
Um,
style delay. They posted that they were sending him a Pulse,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they posted the thing where it's like to John Mayer, like here's the Pulse, we're sending it to you. And I was like, ooh, he might not be happy about that. Because all of a
totally.
sudden they're saying, they sold out of every one of those in every store around the world. The moment they posted that, being like, "Yeah, we're sending one to John," like their
Yeah,
sales
yeah.
would have just shot through the roof.
And people will be like, no, he's using one of those. I mean, I bet he has even a metal zone. I bet he has every
Oh, he
pedal.
has everything, and I'm
So
curious to see if that Pulse is going to be used for future shows because I should point out that that was this year, 2020,
yeah,
not last year.
yeah, that was quite recent.
Yeah, but this here is just another good color picture, another angle of the board from a different show. I think this is getting close to London now, maybe actually. That outfit, actually no, that outfit wasn't London, but I remember that's a Visvim worker shirt. That's like a $2,500 shirt. If anyone is curious about it, that's a very
Nah, that's
expensive shirt. It's insane.
it's
But
insane.
because I remember he wore that in London, but that's not the fit. That's how I actually recognize this show. It's not the same fit. Here we go. This is another
That's
look.
a cool one.
That was the clearest picture that we had ever gotten up until
Yeah, for sure.
this point.
And again, someone was like, "Hey, I got this picture," and I was, "Oh, amazing! Thank you." Like
And
it's
yeah,
beautiful.
it was the best. When we've been waiting to get a good picture like this for such a long time, because people were, and I'm sure of us were, you're watching every live recording from remotely to the side of the stage, and if it was higher up, the better. But you'd be watching every live show to try and get like when the guy who's filming him doing the song got on the board and clear enough with the lighting and everything, and then finally this picture shows up, and we all caught a bit of a break.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily, someone was kindly enough to take this picture and not get caught, I would say, because probably the non-disclosure agreements or whatever it is. So it's cool to have this shot.
Yeah, and
And
that's
I guess
the sound
maybe
check,
that,
right?
yeah, totally. You can see that there's no chairs yet on the floor. So they're barely setting things up.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the first really good pictures we got of the Leslie Looper, which we know that it's an actual Leslie that he was using.
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what it is. I
I'm gonna try and find it, but there was someone who confirmed that there was an actual Leslie being
I
used.
recently on the post I made about the search for everything, Bob Bradshaw, who is a I'm amazed every time he comments on my post. I'm like, thank you, because he's
Bob
like
Bradshaw is
he's the
great for
nicest
reaching out
guy.
to people and willing to know he knows what he can and he can't talk about. Probably
Totally.
like say probably due to non-disclosure agreements, but he's willing to help out, and the fact that he's active online and reaching out to people and trying to help
He
guide
like
you at least in the
yeah.
direction. He seems like a super nice guy, and so many of these people are just
And
mind-blowingly
he's
smart.
like one of those guys who really he's part of guitar tone history. Like
Hmm.
I can say enough good things of that guy. He's like a big part of guitar tones for the
Yeah,
recent years, like
I
or at least 30 years now.
I wonder how he felt about John switching away from the Bradshaw system. I remember, I
Yeah,
think I think I commented on your post being like, "Oh, it's so weird
yeah.
to see they did that," and then Bob replies, "He's like, well, he's a guitar player. He's so indecisive. He changes his mind every morning he wakes up about something." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fair.
But
That's very
again,
fair."
like that's another thing for this tour. Like, why on earth having all that switching system for his shows? He goes like, no, I want to my pedals laid one next to no, and the other like the regular folks. Why would he do that? And then Bob answers, he's a guitar player. He changed his mind.
How awesome was that when he replied?
Yeah,
I was just like,
yeah,
"Oh, Bob."
amazing.
Kind of a funny
Yeah,
way of being like, "Hey," and he even I think he said in one of your other posts too when you did a talk about the search for everything. It was like that was the best tone he ever got. I was like, "It's
he's
because
so
he's using
cool.
your," and it was hilarious.
So,
He's super
no,
awesome, super smart
yeah,
guy.
I really appreciate that a guy like him that is in the top of the game of guitar gear is so laid back and so easygoing, talking with nerds like us.
Yeah, like you say, the fact that he's willing to help people and answer questions, and like we said, how active he is online. He's what a gem, what a
Yeah,
gem of a dude. It's
yeah,
like I
yes,
say, he's definitely someone who you would you could almost be forgiven to assume that he'd have his nose up a little bit at like I've designed these switching systems for the greatest performers in the world and everything, but he's not like that at all, which is amazing.
no, no, he's the greatest guy. I really appreciate the way he acts like online and stuff.
Well, shout out to
So
John Mayer Gear on Instagram. Where grab the screen grab of this picture, as seen on Anderton's with Pete and the captain.
yeah, that was
This
cool.
was the
That was
I
cool.
I know when I saw that episode and they shouted you out, I was like, oh, how sweet is that? How
Yeah,
sweet is that?
totally.
This picture, I have no. Did you ever find out? how this picture even got taken, because that's a blatant, I'm taking a
I
picture of the board.
I talked to the guy who took that pic,
Oh,
and
wow.
he was a regular nice guy, but he was like, oh, I mean, he wasn't secretive at all. He was like, no, I was at sound check and I took the pic and that's it,
Yeah.
and goodbye. And I was like, okay, thanks,
I
thanks for
almost
sending
wondered
me
if
that
like
pic.
I almost wondered if John was like, all right, enough like messing around with these guys, not letting them have a picture, like someone leak it.
When I posted that, the some guy from some pedal company commented like, "How did you get this? These
Everyone's
pics
mind
are
was
not allowed."
blown. You
Yeah,
never thought that this was going to happen. That's why I was almost like, did he just decide that, okay, I've had enough giving these guys a hard time, like let's
yeah, it
someone
was.
leak a blatant picture of it and let them, they've worked hard enough to figure everything out.
I mean, I'm not claiming that the John Mayer Kid Instagram is huge, but I bet that by now John knows that that picture leaked.
Oh, I'm sure he knows right away. He used to be so active on like the gear
Yeah,
page, forums, and everything. And there's no way that well, he even says he watches Anderton's guys. I'm sure he watches that pedal show.
exactly.
He's
I know
he's
that.
involved in the world. He's not sheltered on anything that's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah, absolutely.
He's probably
So
watching
that's
this
a
show. You hope.
fantastic pick. This was like a perfect gift for us to finally get a clear shot, like a dead on. But it's curious because that shot has the solo Dallas.
Yeah, that was when he was experimenting with something other than the Klon, which makes no sense to me. He has the Klon, then he's modifying it for the black one, and now he's swapping out for a solo Dallas clone? Like, what?
Yeah, it's like I don't know, and the guy from Solo Dallas is again a nice guy, fantastic products, and he was like, "Oh, I can't believe that," and I totally understand that because every that's the dream from for many pedal builders out there to have one of their pedals in John's board.
I
So
was talking with Zach from Mythos because there's the one picture that we've talked about a few times where he's using the bonsai on, I think it was a Current Mood episode or some whatever it was.
yeah,
The picture
yeah.
beside it, it looks like a Mythos pedal just because it has like that it looks like it has that Zeus logo on it. So I messaged
Mhm.
Zach and he was like, honestly, I have no idea if John owns any of my stuff. I have no idea, but he was like, I know people who are very close to him, and he was like, I'm hoping it's just a matter of time. And he's really same thing, really nice guy who creates some amazing pedals and stuff like that. So he was super pumped. He was like, hey, if it is, like, I'm gonna be floored. But he's like said the same thing. That's a literally he said it's a dream of mine that John will
Yeah,
use one of my pedals.
who wouldn't love that as a pedal builder?
And anything like he puts on his board, it's gonna sell out like nothing. If it's
Totally.
been discontinued, it's gonna go up tenfold in price.
He's the ultimate tone influencer.
Yeah.
And I can totally say that there's no I'm not saying that I mean who's better guitar player, that's not a question for me. I mean there's no better or worse guitar players, that's another topic, but in the terms of tone search I can totally say that John's on the top of the game. Like people are freaking out to get his tones, and that's why we are here talking about stuff.
And that's why we've been talking for I assume at this point
Exactly,
almost over an hour about at least over an hour
exactly.
about his
He's the
board.
ultimate tone influencer. There's no one on that stuff, and there's no one near.
Exactly, man. And case in point again, everything he does, slide rig's back on. Or I was calling it the Cali 76 earlier. It's the slide rig
The light rig, right?
is back on the board. Solo Dallas, and that's in a weird like green marbly color. Which
Yeah, that's
when I
like a
tried,
limited.
yeah, when I was trying to Google it, it didn't really come up that in that finish. It was like a rare thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's not the regular production one.
Of course, he's got to get the limited edition release color version or whatever, right? Just to
Totally.
be that one step ahead.
Yeah.
This was also, I think, the best look we got at the Leslie Looper with the picture of Leslie Nielsen on it.
That's hilarious. That like Leslie Nielsen, he got that right. Like he made it. Like I bet he was like, well, Leslie Switzer, but let's not put a tag. Let's put a Leslie Nielsen pick on it, and that's so funny.
And that's like the number one Google result when you search for Leslie Nielsen. It's like number one or number
Yeah,
two. Just the one, a cool one right off Google. Just print off, probably just like laminate it on somehow or tape it on, and it's
and that's it.
and you can see they got it cut out for the I'll try and zoom in the light right
Yeah,
there.
there's a lead.
But that was really cool. And two, this is where I was talking about where you could kind of tell on the it's really zoomed in on here on like the full screen of the computer, but when you could zoom in, you could tell that this was a Chase Bliss tonal red knob mod. You could, if when you got a higher quality version of it on like your phone or whatever, and you zoomed in, you could barely make out that the letters said the same thing on that one.
Yeah, that matches perfectly. That's one of those. 100%.
Yeah, and there's no doubt about that. Um,
Oh,
anything else?
he got rid of the Killy Looper between the Kirkland and the new neighbor.
Right. So was he just running the chorus straight up then?
Probably from the new neighbor, I guess.
You can see, yeah, right here he's got the from the into there straight out. Not it's not in a loop. It goes right into the
Oh,
Kirkland and out.
here's a fun stuff to what do you think? Check the Solo Dallas. So it's light rig into Solo Dallas. That's clear. We can see the cable. But maybe he's running Solo Dallas or clone,
Into
replacing
the
that.
Qtron.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it's so I've never noticed that until you just pointed that in. But the moment you said it, I looked and I'm like, oh, how did we not notice that?
Yeah, it looks like it, right?
You're 100% right. It's totally like that. But you know what? The funny thing is that when we all kind of talk about how to get the proper, like, I don't trust myself with loving you sound or the Rosie sound out of the Qtron instead of using the adrenaline, we all know that you need to have like a clon or one overdrive pedal going into it and then another one after it to kind of manipulate
Yeah, to
everything.
really get like the envelope to open quickly
Yeah.
and aggressive, and also have like the lead tone, like the final tone being the tube screamer.
I'm amazed that we just like. Did you know that before that that's how he ran it on this
I,
board?
I, not like I never thought of that. Maybe no.
So
Maybe I
I
didn't.
think we literally just figured that out right now.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
Live that's how
That's
you. But it makes sense because that's how like if you try and replicate the sound, you get way closer to doing it
that's
that way than in just
that's the
standard
best.
order.
Totally.
Well,
That's the
that's
best way to do that. I was frustrated when the Qtron when I got it. Maybe it took me a while to really have fun with that pedal. And when I found out, or when I looked into the pictures and saw that John was using it in between drives, that opened a lot of possibilities for me.
100%. It's and once you figure that out, your Qtron tone completely changes and the way the
Yeah,
pedal responds to your playing. And of course, you got to ride the volume and top tone knobs with it as well. And your attack on your picking as well really affects it too.
so it's tricky, but makes sense to set it that way. It totally makes sense.
Because I think he had the Qtron between drives on other boards before,
Yeah.
but
He did like
but I never knew that on the 2019 board that that's how he ran it. I kind of had a hunch, but I never had like a dead on, we're 100% sure.
but this looks like he's doing it again.
You're 100% right. You're dead on because again, I really hope that on this you can see the mouse, but it moves As
Yeah,
you can
the
see that
cable
you see this
from
one here, this cable going into the TS10 is going up. And I bet you it
yeah.
loops underneath and into there.
Yeah, because if the Solo Dallas went straight into the TS10, you could totally see that. You could totally see that.
It'd be a shorter cable like this where it just loops in.
Exactly.
This
Exactly.
one loops in. Ooh, wait a minute. Does this look like coming out of the Mesa flux that it's going out of the Mesa?
Oh, you're right. That looks like going up, like not going into the OC3.
Okay.
That's something. Yeah, that looks like it's going all the from the Mesa back and up.
Yeah. Okay, so the Mesa,
The Mesa looks like it's going up.
because if you look on here, it looks like the slate is going into the Mr. Moto, what we
Yeah,
think.
yeah, that looks like. But what? So maybe, but if the Mesa is going into the, I don't know if the neighbor, where is the OC3? That would be the question.
Because this
Where?
cord here looks like it's coming straight up underneath the Providence. So could it be because of the lack of room? Could it be something like Mesa into Slate, into Mr. Moto, into Flint? Because clearly the Flint's going into the Providence.
Yeah, totally.
Could the Providence then go into the Super Octave? Then that comes up into the Aquapus. Is that a possibility?
It's it's like a real possibility right now.
And it's
Because
amazing what we're figuring
yeah,
out just by like having it zoomed this much more. Because like when you're looking usually on your phone, you're not really like peeling
yeah,
back the layers of
and
everything or
and
that zoomed in.
and I mean when you look at a picture like that, you're already amazed by, oh, that's that one pedal and that's another one. That's like identifying gets all your attention. You never get to really go into looking each cable. No one does that.
And that's why I'm so happy that, well, clearly we do. We
It's
do that.
exactly.
But that's why I'm
So
so happy that the two of us got together to talk
totally,
about
that
this
it's
one.
fun. I can't believe that we're just finding out stuff like so many months after that peak showed up.
So, do you feel comfortable saying that we believe that it goes Mesa into so
Yeah, yeah, I
it's
would
it
say Mesa into Slate,
into Slate
and
into the Mr. Moto modded into the Flint into the Providence into the Super Octave, then up to the Aquapus.
yeah, yeah, that could be totally it.
Wow.
And I know that he's not. I am one of those that I don't like long cables on my pedal boards. Like I try to lay out searching for the shortest cable runs possible. But I know that he doesn't care at all. He doesn't care about that. He's like, okay, and he would send that cable all the way from the OC3 to the Aquapus, whatever works.
Maybe that's half of the reason why he's got the JHS like a double buffer almost at the very
Probably.
end just to like help. Well, I'm sure a lot of I forget like there you'd be really diving in to be like, is there a buffer in this one? Is there a buffer in that one? But
Yeah,
I'm sure he's got it covered to the point where his tone clearly sounds great and it
yeah.
works for
That's
him. So it's not really it's a non-issue.
and I bet he's not. I mean, he's a geek, a gear geek like us, but he's not like he won't lose his sleep on, oh, this is a buffer and another buffer and then there's a buffer. No, he's like, okay, sounds right, let's get into it.
Yeah, it doesn't, and I think that's how everyone. That's such a good point. I think everyone has to honestly be like that. Where you get some people who are
Yeah,
snobs and they're like, "Oh, if it's not true bypass, it's not for me." And I'm gonna put it up right now on the screen. Thank God for post production. When he posted about the Kirkland boost, he said, "Is it true bypass?" Or he said something, "Is it a buffer, or is it true bypass?" He said, "Probably not." Or if you have to ask that question, this probably isn't for you. And I
Yes,
thought that was funny, where he was like pretty much saying it doesn't matter.
exactly.
If it
That's
sounds
I
good, it
think
sounds good.
it's important that a guy like him, that he's a tone reference for so many people like us, goes like, that's at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much on those little details. Like, okay, if it works, it works.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah,
Well, I am just amazed at what we figured out. This is groundbreaking stuff in the John
totally,
Mayer gear world.
totally.
We just figured out. Oh man.
This is new. This is totally new.
People are going to be
Brand,
going, "Oh, I got to rewire my board now. Thanks, guys."
brand, yeah, brand new information for everyone.
Yeah, coming to you live on the John Mayer Gearline Show. Should we move on to the last one or two I think we got?
Yeah.
Here's where some more stuff gets interesting. So this one here, this was a screenshot that I've taken a couple from this show. I'm not sure if this is my exact screenshot or it doesn't really matter, but this is near the end of Europe, right?
Yeah, that's Europe.
And that's the Free the Tone Tri-Avatar chorus.
So, yeah, and that was replacing the new neighborhood, right?
Yes, and that is how we kind of you can kind of think, and how we were talking about before, where the way things get swapped in and out, it's almost safe to assume that because of their signal chain positioning, like the blacked out pedal, you almost know guarantee is a new neighbor because the knobs match. And we know that he had a CE2 in rehearsal, so there was a chorus being used, and a warped vinyl. You could tell that it was unblacked out before. Then the new neighbor comes in, it's blacked out, but then a Free the Tone replaces that. So
Yeah,
you know for sure that that was it was a new neighbor inspired chorus because he's replaced that
exactly.
with another chorus and he's using it in the same way he used that other pedal.
That's the best way to resume that. Like, it wasn't an immerse reverb. No, it was a chorus because he replaced that with another chorus.
And it wouldn't make sense for him to have three pedals with reverb on the board,
Totally.
plus the Bricasti reverbs, plus the amp reverb. That's overkill even for John.
Yeah, yeah. No one needs that. Oh, on this board, it's well, we'll see that in another shot. There's another drive layout, right?
Yes, I believe so. It made me so happy that he was using Free the Tone products though, because
Yeah, this.
I use their solderless patch cables, and I know a lot of people hate solderless patch cables, but I've never had an issue with these. They're so flexible, and the wires are super tiny. I can't go to anything else now because
They're
they're
perfect
amazing.
for tight layouts, like small
Yeah.
board or tiny, like for a pedal like the Qtron. If you want to use the loop, it's a bit tricky to put together those cables together.
And
With solderless cables, it works amazing.
and let's talk about the cabling here. Let's go back for a second to this picture here. I actually that you just jogged my memory. I wanted to mention. I'm kind of shocked. One of the first things I thought about when I saw this board is that he's using looks like run of the mill, not cheap. The cables don't really impress me. Like, you got they're not even all the same. You got some
I mean,
pancake
yeah,
ones up here that
he
look like
could
the cheap ones you buy off Amazon almost.
he could pick up the phone, call Analysis Plus, and say, "Hey, I want 1,000 short cables from you guys," and they would send him
Yeah,
that those cables.
give me 100 1 foot ones, 100 1.5 foot, 100,
Yeah,
But these
he
just look
could do
like
that.
it looks like you walk into a Guitar Center or something and grabbing those bins, like a handful of like just these dinky standard
Yeah,
size cables almost for the most part. And that was one thing that I just wanted to touch on earlier that just surprised me was the cables aren't impressive to me.
yeah, they're not ultra high end, super expensive cabling. It's not, and that's another thing to address.
And I guess, kind of shows that, okay, if he's not using these crazy SIS, solderless, free the tone, whatever, analyst plus cables, clearly it's one of the last things we should all be concerning ourselves with too.
Yeah. Like in theory, if you got your guitar cable and if you hit a good buffer after that, your most of the tone is safe. Like I will say that, and he hits
Right.
either the katana or hits. In this case, he has the slide rig. You can see the slide rig in there.
Yeah, this was a screenshot I took from the My Stupid Mouth forum, Amsterdam, the second night. This was pretty much one of the, I think, either the last or one of the last shows on the 2019 World Tour now we're talking about. And he kind of went nuts with it. Because, yeah, the slide rig is back, but now it's replacing the katana.
Exactly. That's a huge change for him.
Yeah, not having that katana clean boost. But maybe do you think that's
Yeah,
because he also added in the solo Dallas with the black clon?
exactly. That's a different layout, no katana, and we would assume that he's using the slide rig for that cleanish boost.
Right. And then I'm having a massive brain fart right now. The slide rig's a compressor, right?
Yeah, it's like it's the Kali 76 is like the 1176 compressor. So the
Right.
slide rig, if I'm mistaken, unless I'm mistaken, it's like two of the same circuits going one into another.
Right. That's the one with like the multiple staging of the.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
Yeah. I haven't used any of their products, so it's just coming back from memory of researching when he first. And that's
Yeah,
why
that's
if I said 76 beforehand, they're both compressors, but they're based on different things.
yeah. So it's like two different compressors, one is straight into another one.
Right. I think this show is super interesting too because he threw the Dumbleoid on.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw him with that Dumbler. I never seen a board with that pedal before.
And it's really interesting because being right near the end of the show, he was testing it out, but you don't know if he had tried it, Madison Square Garden or North American or even the, Asian Oceanic leg of the tour, would it have stayed? Would he have swapped it out? That's the one thing I was kind of like, oh, really? You're adding something that we don't know how he actually felt on it. Because if he kept it for a bit or stayed a while, he was more than happy with it. But if he swapped it out kind of after a show or two, he wasn't that into it.
Yeah, he was. It's. I think it's amazing how he's willing to. Well, I mean, he knows that somehow he will go through it, even if he doesn't love the pedal 100%. But he wants to try stuff all the time. That's interesting for him.
And it comes
That
back to where we talked about at the beginning, where this is a tour not backed by an album. This is John
Yeah,
playing for
totally.
him, experimenting, having fun. And if he wants to change the set list or pedals, or I mean, if he really wants to, an app, half an hour before the show, he has that luxury to do. He has that freedom, the creative freedom this tour that he hasn't really had before.
I would love to see one day how he. I mean, I know he has those huge racks with drawers with all the pedals. I wonder if those are on tour too, or he has like a box. I would love to know how he keeps up because I know for sure that he travels with extra pedals just to try stuff like the
Oh,
Dumbledore.
100%. Obviously not him buying it, but he probably has like one of his roadie managers or
Yeah.
tour managers or something. This pedal just came out. Can you order it for me and ship it to wherever, get it to us somehow, and can you put it on my board? And
Yes, exactly. He's recently I was sent some pictures with him trying like a genre pedal, I think it was on tour, like on a sound check. And yeah,
Oh,
probably
wow.
someone sent him like like that on a sound check, and he was okay, and that was it.
Can
So
you do the same
there's
thing and send me that if you can find that
yeah,
picture?
yeah,
So again,
totally.
I'll throw that up because I've never even heard that he was trying to Jan Ray.
But it's like on the Paradise Valley tour or something. Like
Oh,
there's a
wow.
pic on a sound check, and he's like with the pedals and the boxes. He's just it's pretty obvious that he's trying stuff out. Like the
And why not, right? Like he shouldn't
exactly.
be forced to stick to like he's got to obviously stay true to his roots, but he's got to be allowed to develop and mature his tone and his gear.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that's all the pictures that I got to talk about today. I'm gonna throw up the one that showed the rear of the board that we briefly talked about earlier. Um, this show was just insane. Like I said, like near the end of the tour, he's gone back to having one, two, three, four gain. He's got four gains, five actually if you count the Dumbleoids two sides on it. Five gain stages plus the
But
Cali or the Cali
and you know
slide rig.
that one thing that's I know if that happens to you with your TS10, it doesn't have a lot of headroom. You can
No,
easily like overdrive the output of it, not the drive section, but the output. Like you don't get more output of the pedal.
it compresses
Uh,
very
a lot.
easily, and I
Yeah.
think that's the debate you talk about the TS9 and you talk about the TS808. The TS10 compresses a lot differently than the other two do. I feel like from what I've heard.
Yeah, totally, totally. It's some say that it's not so different circuit wise, but it compresses more. I don't know why, but it does. It's like less headroom. So having five gain stages, what happens if he turns on slide rig, solo Dallas, and clone before the TS10? It
It's
would
just gonna
like,
be screeching,
yeah,
just uncontrollable
exactly.
microphonic almost.
That's a lot of gain for the TS10 to handle. I feel like that's a lot too.
I
But
agree. So, well, that's why that drive pedal after it is so
it's,
important, I think.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's another totally another headroom for him to go to reach. He can reach
Exactly, because
another
then
level.
it's that next stage of headroom that the TS10 then can go into and develop and push.
Do you have any like another high gain on your personal pedal board, like another high gain pedal to reach after the typical TS clone?
I do. I can throw up a picture of it in post. I can send you a current picture. I can text it to you after this so you know what I was talking about. But on mine right now, because and that's the thing for my Mayor board, like a studio rig that I want to build, not a portable one by any means. This tour resonated so strongly with me. I want to try and replicate that board, and it's a daunting task, and it's going to take me forever. But I'm trying to slowly build to it. So I right now got the Mark One Blues Breaker, Centura TS10, and then the Zen Drive, the original V1 Zen Drive. So when I'm kind of
Oh,
doing the belief or like the heavier solos, I'll go either Blues Breaker TS10 or Centura TS10 into the Zen Drive. And
oh,
because
that's
that
great.
thing has so much headroom and so much gain. And when I forget who was telling me, one of the guys who kind of collects old Hermidia audio pedals in the group, but he was saying that the Zen Drive 2 has even more headroom and more gain.
That's so cool.
And because me and my buddies, when I've had a few buddies over, and we jam in my garage due to COVID. Who I personally don't want them really in my house, but we'll jam in my garage, and so we can social distance and have some air out. He's played like some like guitars with humbuckers through my rig and everything, and the gain on that Zen Drive with humbuckers too, because it's designed to kind of do like the Robin Ford thing,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's just
totally.
it's insane. Like the amount, like when you really crank it, it's just wild, and I think it's insanely important. It was a game changer in terms of, and I know for like where the light is, I don't, he didn't have a pedal afterwards, so that was kind of a mystery how he got that like way more saturated tone. So sorry for another day, perhaps. But once
Yeah.
I added, the point being, once I added that after, that was a new like kind of, that was a game
Yeah.
changer because the possibility that you had to do.
Yeah, is not like breaking through the roof of the TS10. Like you get
Yeah.
and way more gain and output like that you expected. And the send drive is fantastic. It's the best way to get that. To me, that's the best pedal in the dumble territory. Like I mean, if Robinford uses that, that's enough. Say, that's enough for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. You know, your board. Do you have the same thing where you got something after the TS10 to, or like a tube screamer type to drive
I
like
have
higher?
a Plimsoll by Full Tone. It's
Right.
like a weird pedal in the best way a pedal can a gain stage can be weird. It's so weird. It sounds like nothing else. So
But but it does the job.
it does fantastic. I love it. I love that pedal.
I'll have to check that out. I haven't.
Yeah,
I've
yeah. That
heard obviously clips of you playing. I've heard have just been insane.
it's so weird. Like it's dark but has tons of output, and there's this little clipping knob. It's I don't know what it is, but it's different from everything I got. So it's really cool. I love that Plimsoll.
And but that's the thing that we're trying to say is that I think a huge game changer for anyone looking to either they're saying everything's compressing too much or they're not getting that massive saturated tone. Get a gain stage after the tube screamer.
Totally, totally. That's really a really good advice if you're trying to, because again, when we were talking about the whole tone approach, the amps have a lot of thing to do with John Mayer. Huge amps, huge cable, and if we don't have that luxury, we can try different things to simulate that. And another gain stage allows, like you were saying, on where the light is, he didn't have that, but one way to reach that saturated tones is with another pedal.
Right, yeah. And I think that that's like you say, it's anyone looking to get closer. I think at that point it's almost necessary to have like a either a
Yeah,
Dumbo
like
style drive or something that has a lot of headroom that can just elevate everything and gain everything up.
so yeah, then a third gain stage aside from the typical TS and another overdrive, that's a good thing to do.
I think
And
it's
it's
kind
fun
of
because you can maybe the plimsoll works for me, so you got the send drive, so maybe someone will try an RC booster, I don't know. Like that's the spot for everyone to try a new pedal for their own personal quest.
exactly and kind of change your everything you're doing while staying kind of heavily inspired by. I think that's
Yeah,
amazing. Like I said, he's been doing it so much as well.
yeah, that's it.
Well, Alejandro, I think this was one heck of a.
Yeah, this was fun. I mean, at the end of the day, it's fun to reach out and talk to people that has the same like the geekiness for this stuff, and it's not for everyone.
It's
But
not.
I'm amazed that there's nearly 24K people geeking out on an Instagram page, and the Gear Lounge has been growing out every day, and that's so cool. I'm always impressed and happy when threads gets long and people comment and even like opinions gets divided in the best way possible. Like, hey, I think this works for me. No, I don't like that, but I try this, and it's like getting to grow each other with some experience.
You hit the nail on the head. It's healthy debate. is encouraged, and it needs to happen because that's how
Yeah,
you really you figure something out. If everyone just agreed, then we'd be actually wrong about a lot of stuff, about
totally.
especially like
It's
what you
I
and I
mean,
talked about today.
I've been on, I run that John Mayer page and I've been corrected 1,000 times, and I'm glad I've been corrected. I'm glad I'm learning stuff. I don't
Exactly.
claim
It's
I'm
not about knowing everything. It's about trying
yeah,
to get the right information out there, and it's not about trying to be the person being like, I know the most or I'm
exactly.
never
Yeah,
wrong.
totally. Yeah,
And
I'm the first one to admit when I'm wrong, and I'm love. If I'm wrong, it means that I learned something, and that's cool.
that's I'm the exact same way. And I'm really happy though that I feel like you and I agreed on pretty much 100% of what we talked about today.
Yeah, yeah, it's been a fun talk.
And I think we're gonna save. I think at this point it's 4 o'clock my local time, so it's we've been. I think this is going to be a very long one,
Yeah, yeah, it
but it was
is.
necessary to get everything out, and like I wouldn't want to have cut anything. But I think because you and I were talking about the amps and the guitars that were used, I feel
Yeah,
like that could be another massive
totally.
one.
That's another episode.
Okay, well then let's do that. We'll tee up and we can save that for another day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds right.
Well, Alejandro, that was just an amazing pleasure and awesome to finally get to talk face to face more or less with you
Yeah,
because I know we've been
yeah,
talking for a
yeah.
long time and it's nice to finally sit down and someone as knowledgeable and as passionate as you are
Thanks, man.
and a player who can back it up too is just that's the icing on the cake is when you're so knowledgeable and such a chill great dude and then you listen to you play and it's just like holy, the guy can just
Thanks, man.
you can back it all up. When you did the belief challenge and then you did your I'm a day late, and everyone's like, well, I think the guy who runs it can make an exception. And I love one of the top comments on there was when the guy who's running it delivers and knocks it out of the park, and he nailed it. So massive
Thanks,
again
man.
credit to you for really starting the ball rolling on all of this. Without you, I don't think any of this would be happening. So thank you.
I appreciate this so much. I'm glad this been going on for so long, and that again is not my as a one man's effort. It's a lot of great people getting together, sharing, like digging out mysteries. It's fun. It's like a good hobby. I wish I had more hobbies like this one. I mean, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
really cool to geeking out to specific tones and stuff. And yeah, and I'm a that's my job. I play guitar for a living, and it's been because I there's like the guitar playing aspect of studying and practicing, but that doesn't have to fight against being obsessed with gear. Like I know lot of guitar players that are like either you practice or you love gear. Like why I can't do both? Why I can't practice and try to get better and also try to nail tones and being and try to figure out which pedal is someone using. I can do both. So I think everyone can do that. They're not
I
opposite.
agree. I agree with you. It's you got to embrace both sides of it, and you couldn't have
Yeah.
said it better myself.
So part of the belief challenge was that I'm a huge gear geek, but I want people to play guitar as well, so we can do both. Also, the gear lounge. That's why I was so happy about the gear lounge, because that if someone's not cool with people playing guitar and sharing playing guitar, that's not cool. That's not okay.
It was just yeah, it was just the most bizarre turn of
Yeah,
events
made no sense.
that led to the kind of not revolution, but that led to what we've all kind of changed and done now. It's
Yeah,
like you gotta embrace it. Like I get the standpoint of not wanting clutter, not wanting spam, and not wanting crap, to put it lightly, which I do get. But at the same time, it's if you, instead of running a group of 2,000 people with 3 people, we're running a group of 800, almost 900 with 8 moderators who are all very passionate, very involved. And any clutter and any spam issues, I feel like it's a non-issue at this point. We have it so under control, more than under control. It's no effort to really run at all.
Yeah,
And we want to
it's
encourage, people to talk and people to engage in these healthy debates and be
I
passionate and share. And whether you picked up the guitar a day ago and you want to try playing slow dancing, or you've been playing for 25, 30 years, we want everyone to feel welcome and everyone to, be so inspired and wanting to share and build that sense of community.
yeah, that's it. That the community is so safe and so welcoming that the people that just joined really want to post and comment, and they feel safe. And that's the whole thing about the Gear Lounge. They feel safe, like sharing. Hey, I just recorded myself and I wanted to share. That's okay, and we all can positively interact with that.
Exactly. Support it, give, constructive feedback and constructive criticism. At least with me, is always welcome. I'm like, if I always appreciate that. And, and that's the thing is we build each other and help each other out along. And, that's what it's all about. And I think, the fact that we're able to stem talking about stuff and help grow that and really dive deeper as a consequence of that is insanely fun and such a great thing. And connect, and
So
like the
cool.
fact that we can all like hang out and do like a Zoom chat for 2 hours or however long,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
it's good.
I think the crazy thing would be like eventually if a bunch of us all went to like a John Mayer show together. That'd be
That
just
would be
like
cool. Yeah, yeah, it will happen. It will happen.
like all
I
like a
believe it.
neutral location like Los Angeles or something that's kind of in the
Yeah,
middle for everyone just to like
some city with a big airport,
yeah.
like no, I don't know, Los Angeles, Miami, anywhere that everyone can reach out easily, and
Hmm.
that's it.
And it'll be just a blast.
Totally.
Well, my friend, thank you so much for doing this with me and hanging out
No,
today.
no,
That
I
was that
really
was, that was a
appreciate.
blast.
I was absolutely thrilled about doing this, and it was so fun. Thanks to you. Thanks for creating this channel. Thanks for the group. Thanks for all the support, and this is really important to acknowledge that like people like you, and there's so many people. Again, it's not about me. It's way beyond that. It's like a
It's way
community.
beyond one person. It's the
Yeah, it's a
collective.
community.
It's a group. It's a
Absolutely,
community, and you
it's a
you
group
you
of
hit it.
people working together.
Well, I think that's going to conclude today's today's show. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in and listening. And I'm sure you and I together will be doing a lot more of these, I feel like, and with everyone else as well. We gotta just keep growing it and keep it going. So thanks everyone.